Hi everyone. So today we're going to put everything together that we've learned for the past few lessons, where we write the ratios and we find missing angles and we find missing sides, where we use a whole lot of triangle theorems to solve a triangle. Okay, now when I say solve a triangle, I want to find all of the information about it. All three angles, all three sides. So let's get started with our warm-up. Okay. Got tangent of B. I want the tangent of B for the left triangle, and for the right triangle, I want you to solve for side length x. Pause the video, make sure you get them both correct. We can move on from there. Okay, let's see how we did. Okay, tangent of B, we have the opposite, we have the adjacent, so 15/9. Later, we're going to solve for angle B, but right now I just want the ratio. Now solving for x on the right triangle, I have the opposite, the adjacent, and the hypotenuse, which means I need the ratio of the opposite over the hypotenuse, which is sine. And then at this step, this first step, I got to make sure I multiply by x on both sides. Don't multiply by 12. It's a mistake I see a lot and can't fix what happens next. We got to multiply by the denominator and then do a division. So we have 12 divided by sine of 32, and side length is 22.64. And since this is the hypotenuse, I know that's the longest side. So if I ever get a number that's smaller than 12, I know I made a mistake. We can always check to see if our answer makes sense. So today, we're putting it all together. Okay, you're going to do all of trigonometry. So tri means three. So three angles, three sides, everything of this triangle is going to be taken care of. So I want you to take a look at this question. I strongly recommend pause the video, write down anything you remember that's related to a triangle or a right triangle that you can think of. Okay, so the bare minimum, every one of you knows that triangle has three angles and three sides. But you know a lot more, so hopefully you wrote down more. Okay, we now know the sine and the cosine and tangent ratios. We know SOHCAHTOA. We know if it's a right triangle, the Pythagorean theorem. So we know a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where c is the hypotenuse. We've learned in geometry that the three angles of a triangle add up to 180. So if I know two of the angles, I actually can find the third with addition. Now, tips about for 4 and 5. When I'm asking for a missing side or missing angle, always go back to the original problem, think what we got to do, reset up a new equation, and then read the directions. I've seen students get frustrated because they write down an answer and they forgot to round it. And if you do that on homework or a test and it marks it wrong, it's just unfortunate. So always read the directions. That probably should be hint number one, always. But definitely want to make sure that it's on here again. So now we're going to get to solving a triangle. So if you're asked to solve a triangle, it means find all the missing sides and all missing angle measures. If there's a word problem that says just find the single missing angle, do that. Read the directions, do exactly what it asks you to do, and no more. So let's take a look at an example. I actually got two examples. Okay, I want you to find all the missing side lengths and all the missing angles. So even the side lengths that are not labeled, it still wants you to find them. So you can call it side length Y or something else, but in the first triangle, I got one missing side and two missing angles. And the right triangle got one missing angle and two missing sides. So I draw the left one on your paper and work through it with me. So let's go take a look. Okay, for this left triangle, I want to find beta, the angle beta first. So I got the opposite, the adjacent, the hypotenuse, and I need to use the tan ratio. This was the same one for our warm-up, just now we're going to solve for beta. So we're going to take the inverse tangent of the ratio. But now we're getting good at our calculator. We know where that button is, and we get 59.04 degrees. Next, I'm going to solve for the other angle. Okay, if I'm looking at theta, I have this is the opposite, this is the adjacent, that's the hypotenuse. So I'm still using the tangent, but now it's 9 over 15 instead of 15 over 9. Now, once again, I can use inverse tangent, and I get 30.96 degrees. So I found the two angles using inverse trigonometry. Both cases happen to be inverse tangent. Now find the missing side. I have a right triangle with two sides. I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. As long as the hypotenuse is by itself, it doesn't matter whether you have 9 squared plus 15 squared or 15 squared plus 9 squared. I'm going to evaluate the left side and get 306, and then take the square root. So 15 squared plus 9 squared is 306, and then I take the square root to get the square root of 306, which is 17.49. So now in this problem, I found the two missing angles and the missing side. Now the right one. I have two of the angles. I can find the third angle by saying the three of them add up to 180 degrees. And this is a linear problem that we can solve, and we can get that z is 68 degrees. I'm now going to use the 32 degrees to find x and y. I got the opposite, the adjacent, and the hypotenuse. So to find side length y, I'm going to use opposite and adjacent, so I'm going to use tangent. And to find x, I'm going to use opposite and hypotenuse, so I'm going to use sine. So, like I said, opposite and adjacent to find y, multiply both sides by 12 by y, and then divide to get an answer. Okay, and y looks longer, so y looks like it's longer than 12, and so my number reflects that. And then x has got to be the longest side, so when I solve that, this time I use sine, and then I solve for x, multiply by x on both sides, and divide by sine of 32. I get that x is the longest side. So in these two different triangles, I used Pythagorean theorem and trigonometry and inverse trigonometry and the triangle angle sum theorem of adding up three angles to make 180. You're free to use whichever theorem works for the specific problem. Think of which one's the most efficient and use it. So now it's your turn. Here are two triangles. Okay, you got missing sides, missing angles, Pythagorean theorem, trigonometry, inverse trigonometry, but I don't have angles here. Okay, all of them are missing except the 90 degrees. Pause the video, copy this one down, try it out. Okay, here's two more. Now I was nice enough to give you two of the angles in each of these triangles, but only one side length in each one, so you gotta find two side lengths. Pause the video, try it out. Okay, so you've done a lot of trigonometry and inverse trigonometry and used Pythagorean theorem. Okay, and we will see these answers very soon. We're going to see them in class. They're going to be part of one of the exit tickets. So save these answers and we'll be able to check them next time.